So I've been pretty injury prone in my powerlifting career, and especially in the last 3 years is when it's been kind of the worst. And obviously, the stronger you get, the more weight you have, the higher risk of injury there is, and the harder we're pushing ourselves. And the numbers that this top super heavyweights are doing today, 2-3 years ago, have never even been done before. So we're definitely pushing the boundaries of the human body and what it can do. Though I doubt that we've reached that potential, I just know that we're pushing it further than it's ever been pushed. And for the last several years, it's just been injury after injury with me. And I went 16 to 18 months without competing, or 16 months or something like that, just from injury after injury. Tore my shoulder, three different occasions, 3 different muscles in it. It was pretty brutal. That made me start kind of questioning, making some serious plans, because I know that this isn't something that can be sustained forever, at least not at the level that I'm at least for my body in my particular situation. So when I lost a ton of weight in 2016, went from 365 pounds, dropped down to 282, I think was my all-time lowest. And it was a pretty amazing feeling to be that lean and that light and be able to breathe and do normal human activities that I haven't been able to do for many years now, because when you're a top level competitor, it's a very, very selfish thing to do, to be a top level competitor. It's all about me. I would neglect family, friends, parties, events, anything, name it. I didn't do it. I didn't go to it because it wasn't going to help my total. And that's all I cared about was my total for years. I obsessed over it. And obviously it got me to where I am, and a lot of that obsession is it's needed to get to this level. Yeah, so it was around that time when I was down to my lowest body weight in that 280 range, where I really started to miss being strong. And of course I was still strong, for a relative normal person and things like that, but I'm not a normal person. And I wasn't the strength that I wanted to be. So I put on a little weight. I rebounded back to like 300 pounds. That's when I just from introducing red meat again and sodium and just eating more in general. And rebounded back to 300. I started prepping for meet, and then I tore my shoulder again. And that was tough. That was like, man, I don't think this is for me anymore. I thought maybe my body just kind of had its run and I might be done. But of course not. As soon as I started feeling better, I right back at it again, lifting again. And I've been fortunate that that shoulder in that area has been unaffected. The infra and supraspinatus and teres minor. There's another muscle there, it's where I don't remember which was. But again, I pushed through the recovery. All I wanted to do was get back on the platform. That was the goal. It worked out good for me. I made a comeback in 2018, it was just last year. The start of the year, I competed at the LA Fit Expo. And that was just a meet to get my feet wet and to get me qualified for the Kern, the US Open, which is a Wilks formula meet. And being a super heavyweight, you're not at the worst advantage, but you're definitely not at a great advantage being a super heavyweight dealing with the Wilks, just because the heavier you are, the harder that score affects you're affected. So, but my strategy for that meet was to come in as a light super heavyweight. I think I weighed at 323 pounds on meet day. Well, so the LA Fit Expo was just the prep meet to get me tuned for the US Open. So yeah, the US Open, I weighed in at 323 pounds on weigh-ins. And then by the time the actual meet day came, after 24-hour weigh-ins, I think I was 334, 335 on actual meet day. And that was my plan to do my first 1,000 pound squat, which I was prepped for, I was ready for, my peak went perfect. I was extremely strong. We were thinking around a 24 to 50 total in that range. We were hoping, that was if everything went completely well. Ended up having a shit day, not a shitty day. I went 5 for 9 and got second place in the overall and won the super heavyweight division, of course. And I almost won the overall. I came down to the last deadlift, which was 887 pounds, which I locked out, and then on the way down I dropped it. And That was tough. That was a tough drop. It cost me $30,000. The difference between first place and second place was 40 grand and 10 grand. So it was a big drop, and I was pretty mad at myself. But at the same time, I had just made, $11,000 because I won my class too, which was 1,000 in one day powerlifting. That's very rare, and that's not something that's very common in our sport. We've been doing all these big meets and putting our bodies on the line for free, basically, for free t-shirts and shit and supplements and gear and stuff like that. But now it's like, wow, now it's actually kind of going somewhere to where, there's money as being a competitor. I mean, of course, not great money. If I had won that, would have been good money. But again, there's the potential there. So that's when, I was beat up after that meet. I had a nagging injury in my knee. Couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. I didn't get an MRI because I wasn't sure if it was anything serious. And in my off season from Kern leading up to Big Dogs 3, I was looking at toy haulers. Me and my wife bought a toy hauler to go to the desert camping with and shit. And I went to get into this toy hauler at the RV park, and I didn't bring the steps down, so it was just a really high step in. And, with my body weight, 350 pounds, when I stepped up and all that weight lunged on one leg, on one knee, I hurt myself. I was standing in the toy hauler, and I knew I heard something. I didn't know what. I just knew something wasn't fucking right. I could barely stand. So I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, listen, I really hurt my fucking knee. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this thing. So she gets the steps down and get me out of there, and we go on our way. And I thought I tore something, but I wasn't sure. I knew something wasn't right. So doing the typical meathead thing, I like it'll be all right with a few days rest and some ice, and get home and ice it up, and I'll be fine. And then that week I went to the gym to train to squat, and squatting, I just knew something wasn't fucking right, and I knew something wasn't right. So I believe I got an MRI shortly after that time, and I found out I had a torn meniscus and a partially torn patella tendon. And a torn meniscus isn't a big deal. You don't need your meniscus. Patella tendon you need, but it wasn't that bad of tearing. It was more of just kind of damaged. Is the way it was described. Anyways, I was going to Australia regardless to do that fucking meet. And I started having my doubts, again, with dealing with the injury, scared to fly all the way out there. It cost me over $10,000 to go to Australia, and sponsors help. They don't cover it by any means, so it was a lot out of pocket. And anyways, so training for that, I was scared because every workout, every squat day, my knee would bother me, and I knew, it was just the torn meniscus. It's not a big deal. You'll be all right. But I also knew I was going for 1,000+ pounds, and I knew that it was going to be dangerous if if something went wrong. But I also knew that it was a once in a lifetime, or not really once in a lifetime, but it was. I've been invited to Big Dogs every year that it's gone on for 3 years in a row. But it was finally the time that I knew I was in a position to win, and to put up some really big numbers. So every workout was a nightmare. We're just playing it week by week on the squat days, and every warm up, I'd be like, fuck, I don't think I can squat today. It just hurt so bad, and I actually ended up missing a couple squat sessions at prep, which I'd never done ever in any prep. So I missed, ended up not doing a couple sets and stuff like that, just because I was in too much pain. And I knew that it was just going to be worse, and I wasn't willing to take that risk. So it was more of just focused on keeping me as recovered as possible, focus on the bench and the deadlift, and squat what we needed to squat to have a decent day. Anyways, as the peak went for that meet, things started getting better, and the knee pain kind of subsided. When I was getting into the bigger weights, I think I did a 960 or 970 pound squat in training, and felt really good. It was extremely fast, so I was confident that over 1,000 was going to be there on meet day. But again, I've never traveled internationally. I've never traveled further than to San Diego from Las Vegas for a meet. That's 6 hours, so 6 hour drive, let alone 15 and a half hour flight, and 16 hour time difference, and it was crazy, man. Me and my wife have been married for several years now, and I've been promising her a honeymoon, and I just haven't been able to deliver because of competing. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to be in Australia. We're probably not going to go out here again, or at least not for a while. Let's take advantage of it. And after the meet, we'll stay for another week and enjoy Australia. That was a mistake because, I'm doing a meet, 360 pounds. I'm beat up, obviously. Like wasn't a smart move, but we wanted to see Australia, and we did, and we regretted it. But anyways, it was just a lot of money, man. It cost a lot of fucking money. Anyways, that meet went on. That meet went pretty good for me. Didn't go great. I ended up placing third. I had 1,008 pounds in squat. I was the only one in the competition to walk my squat out rather than use the monolift. I shit the bed on bench. That was a 3.5 hour meet, something I've never been prepared for. Didn't know it was that quick. So right after I was in squatting, we're already benching, and my elbows just couldn't handle it. And I ended up missing my second attempt and having to retake it and then smoking it, wishing I had gone up. So it set up for me for a little out of reach deadlift. It was a 900 pound deadlift. And if I had pulled it, I would have won, and broke, and I think I would have been broke the world record, the all-time world record, been right there with it, knocking on that door. I think I would have been just below it still. Andre still would have held it. But anyways, I missed that last deadlift, just like Kern. And, missed out, went from winning $22,000 to winning $6,000. And, you know what I mean? And it just fucking sucked, man. And only that, it was just a lot of pain, a lot of stress. I remember squatting for that meet right before squats. Spiros, main spotter, back spot for that meet. I was talking to him, and he ended up being a really cool guy. We hit it off really well. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, if something doesn't look right on the squat, don't hesitate to grab me. I was like, I would rather you grab me early and get me up than for my knee to blow out here in Australia, because that would be very terrible, and he was like, I'd rather grab you early and have you mad at me than you get hurt. I was like, all right, that's all I wanted to hear. So he knew it was up, and we survived it, So now, fast forward a little bit, I'm done with Big Dogs. It took me 10 weeks to recover from Big Dogs 3. From that, I put up a 24:30 raw total. I flew, back, from cross country. I was on a fair amount of drugs, and cold turkey off of, and my body was just freaking out and didn't know how to respond. And I don't think I went to the gym. I went for coaching. I don't think I went to the gym and worked out for 6 weeks straight after that meet, which is very rare for me. And I was doing my best to lose weight and get my body weight down. I think I got down to like 320, which is still a little too heavy for where I wanted to be for an off season. And anyways, the whole off season, instead of that time was just for my central nervous system to recover. Once it recovered and I felt good again, I started hitting the weights hard again, really hard. And that probably wasn't the best thing, because I knew something was wrong with my fucking knee. And I didn't know what, I just knew something was wrong. But again, now I've kind of become comfortable with this meniscus pain. And every time I was experiencing pain in my knee, I would just blame it on my meniscus. It's not a big deal, it's just your meniscus. Like, you'll be fine. Just suck it up. Everything else is intact. And, the MRI looked good. But, I don't know how much damage I've caused along the way, right? And obviously I caused more than I thought. So off season for, in between Big Dogs and what I was in prep for, which is Kern 2019, it was a good off season. We went to the desert a lot and partied and, enjoyed ourselves. But I was still hitting the weights too hard when I would come home without, focusing more on the hypertrophy work and the volume. I was just being lazy and just, going hard and heavy and high intensity. And I started feeling the knee bugging me again. When I would stretch, I would feel like I couldn't stretch my quad fully. My knee would flare up and it would hurt. And I knew that something was wrong again, but again, I ignored it. And I was like, we'll get through this prep. We'll put up a big total, and then we'll have plenty of time to rest after Kern, which we know isn't true, because right after Kern, I probably would have done tribute meet, which was 14 weeks after. So, it was an injury was the only thing that was going to stop me. I was very, very confident I was going to break the all-time world record this year. I was very, very confident I was going to squat 1,000, pull 900. And when I hurt myself, which was 3 weeks ago from 2 days ago, I was doing a training session with one of my training partners, Foster and Andy, and my top squat that day was 925 pounds, which is a relatively easy squat for me. Again, we're just conditioning my central nervous system back up to the heavier weights. We were planning on like 1,036, maybe more at Kern. So 925 again wouldn't even been an opener. But leading up to it on the second to last set, it was 870. And when I squatted 870, my knee popped. And again, when I say popped, I just contributed to like cracking a knuckle, like your knee cracks, like an air pocket release. And that's kind of what I assumed it was, but it hurt. And I remember standing outside, and we had a whole camera crew in there, and we got a whole team's out helping me, everyone from Filthy Family, and and it's like I always feel like I can't let everyone down, but at the same time, I can't let myself down. Like I knew I had to get that squat. So I was standing outside, I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, my knee popped. She's like, well, what kind of pop? I was like, I think it was just like an air pop. I think we're okay. I was like, but it's fucking throbbing. So I tried to do a body weight squat, couldn't, and it just hurt too bad. So we knew it was bad, but again, I'm a meathead. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, especially when it comes to when I'm in prep. I just have one thing on my mind, the total, and it's haunted me for years. And that's all I care about is that fucking total, man. It's no way to live. But anyways, I went for my 925 squat, even knowing I couldn't do a bodyweight squat without being in immense pain. So my wife wrapped my knees up, pulled me up. I'm looking at the bar, tell myself a few things. This needs to be fast. And it's not even heavy weight. It's 925 pounds. Like, let's get it. And I remember picking it up and walking it out and knowing the weight wasn't heavy, and I knew it felt good. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good squat. I was extremely confident, never doubt my mind. Of course the knee pain's there, but when you're under the weight, you don't feel anything, but you feel 925 pounds, digging in the back of your neck. That's kind of what you feel, you don't really feel the knees or anything like that. So I squatted, and my descent was a little slower than normal. Again, I think that was like a body reflex, a fear for my knee. And I sunk it pretty low and hit the hole, and on the way up, right when I came out of the hole, I heard a snap and a pop. My knee came in, and I knew instantly, that something serious had happened. All my weight shifted to the left. I was still able to stand up with it, thank God. And then I was still able to get it in the rack. And then I knew that something was bad. And so when they pulled the wraps off, that's when you can see my kneecap was shifted over about 1.5 inches. And there was a big gap missing of just meat missing below the kneecap that wasn't there. And then I didn't notice at the time, but the quad had rolled up into my mid-thigh. And, but again, it wasn't really visible at the time. I couldn't really tell that. I didn't know what it was. So long story short, it was a Friday. Can't see the doctor until Monday. There's no reason to go to the emergency room. We had to get me home, which was hard because I have a big ass lifting truck, and so my wife had to take the truck home, get her car SUV, come back and get me. We got me in the SUV, and we got here, and then it was just, it sucks, man. Like, it really hurt, and I didn't post anything about it because I didn't know what was going on. There was no reason to post because I didn't know, I didn't want to think it was worse than it was or think it was less than it really was. I had no idea. I wanted to wait till we got the MRI. So I see the doctor on Monday, and then he does a few things with me, a couple movements. He tries to have me have, and he instantly says, he's like, you tore your quad. And I was like, really? I was like, it's at my knee. He's like, yeah, you tore the tendon off the bone. He knew without the MRI that's what had happened. And I was like, fuck. I was like, is this serious? Is this bad? He's like, you need surgery. He's like, we got to do it immediately. So I was, now, you start thinking about everything, and surgery. Surgery's not cheap. Surgery's very expensive. I have health insurance, so we have very high deductible and everything like that, which wasn't even close to being met. It's a new year. So, we never go to the fucking doctor. So it's either way. My insurance didn't cover him. He's a specialist, and I really wanted him to do the surgery. He wanted to do the surgery, and so we knew I was going to be paying out of pocket for this. So it was a pretty expensive deal, you know, to get hurt and to get it repaired. It cost me $5,200 just to use the hospital to have the surgery. And then the separate bill for the doctor, and then a separate bill for the anesthesiologist, which all need to be paid up front. There's no payment plan, nothing like that. So it was a lot of money, but again, I was fortunate enough. I'm in a position where I had money, and we're able to get my knee repaired. So leading into the repair, you know, it was a week that we had to wait. So now I know what's wrong with it. Oh, because after he saw it, I went and had an MRI that same day, and then they got the results 2 days later. And that's where he was able to know for sure that the quad tendon had torn off the bone. 2 quad ends that wrapped around the outside of the knee had torn up and rolled up into my quad, and my quad was swollen up here with all the muscle. So, so we scheduled the surgery, and then the morning of the surgery, you're supposed to fast. I thought that had to do with because they don't want you to shit when you're under or something. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. But I ate a little bit of a muffin in the morning before I went because I have acid reflux. I just need something in my belly. So when I get there to have the surgery, and I tell them that, the anesthesiologist, we can't do the surgery because apparently you can vomit and choke on your own vomit from stomach acids released whenever you consume something, whenever you eat something. So don't eat before you have surgery. They're not joking about that. And actually someone in the powerlifting community passed away not that long ago from eating before surgery and vomiting on and dying when he was under. So it was pretty eye-opening and pretty scary, and we were scheduled for 2 days later, which sucked because now it's another 2 days of being in pain. And again, I didn't take any pain meds this whole time. I was just dealing with it. And so we had the surgery. It was about an hour surgery, maybe less. It wasn't long. And the doctor told me it was going to be 4 to 6 inches incision. And like I was saying, I'm very familiar with that territory. I know 4 to 6 inches very well. And this cut is no 4 to 6 inches. This is a 12-inch cut. This is huge. I got big ass hands. It covers my whole leg. And I'm sure we can actually peel it up and see what's going on. It's tapes. Yeah, there it is. Got a little blood coming out, no big deal. But yeah. So they had to cut it open. They had to reach up, pull the quad heads, pull them back down, anchor them. So there's metal anchors in, and then pull the other one up underneath and anchor it in. And then I believe he did one more to pull my kneecap back over because my kneecap was shifted way over here. And yeah, that's the aftermath of a squat injury, an ordinary max for me. I was able to stand up with it with one leg, which is pretty fucking cool. But again, obviously it would have been a lot cooler to have 2 legs. But and then something happened at the pharmacy where they wouldn't even, my wife had to go fill up for me. Couldn't move, and they wouldn't fill the whole prescription. They'd only do half because it was a weekend and they couldn't talk to the doctor or something like that. So I was in the worst pain I've ever been in my life for 7 days. And the first day wasn't bad because there was a nerve blocking each end, and it felt fine. You didn't feel anything at all. The next day, about midday, the tingling started, and the pulsating, the pain would start. I'm like, holy shit! Oh, this has got to be the worst. It's not any worse than this. So this is pretty uncomfortable. I didn't sleep at all. I was in a lot of pain, and then the next day it was worse, and I was like, all right, this is almost unbearable. And can't get much worse though. Can't get much worse. And I was wrong. It did. It kept getting worse and worse every day. And now I'm scared that I damage it. Did I do something wrong? Did I pull the anchors out? I don't know. I haven't been doing any moving or anything, but I just don't know. Maybe when I stepped kind of weird, put a little weight on it when I shifted something. I didn't know what to think. I was just in so much pain, so miserable. And I timed out my pills, so I had just enough up until right before we had to leave to go see the doctor, and the hydrocodones would definitely help, a little bit, but one hydrocodone is not going to do something to someone with my size, my tolerance and things like that. So we get to the doctor, and he opens it up and takes a look at it. And, he's happy with how it looks, and said everything's fine. And I tell him, I'm in too much pain, I'm uncomfortable. And once I told him what I had, he was like, well, he's like, can't be right. I'm like, well, you wrote the script. That's what I got. But again, he wasn't there. We had to call in and shit. It was weird. Anyways, he prescribed me Percocets, 10 milligrams, and that changed things and made me comfortable, which was great because now I was able to sit here and at least not be in such miserable pain, and I was able to kind of start now thinking about what I'm going to do, and I was just able to process what was going on a lot better because I was able to not be in so much pain. And then obviously I posted on social media what had happened, and the amount of love was great. Everyone had something nice to say, and just it was super positive and things like that. But again, it was like everyone just kind of expects something of you because you've been this person for so many years. My life has been powerlifting for 7-8 years. It's just kind of all I know. And maybe a little less than that, but either way, it's the gym has been a part of my life since I was 12, and it's just been my kind of my identity, and I kind of have my identity and everything ripped out from underneath. It just seemed like, and everyone online and people you don't know, but they kind of know, and it's all about I can't wait to see your comeback, and can't wait to watch you come back stronger and rebound from this. And it's like I don't fucking know. Oh shit, I was bleeding. And then the thought process was, kind of like, I don't know if I want to come back. I don't know if I want to do this again. I don't know. This is a top priority anymore after dealing with this. I've had, numerous injuries, numerous tears, and this is fucked up, man. This is something that sucks. Having your mobility taken away from you, and your freedom taken away from you. It's a tough thing to handle, and I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what I should be thanks. I didn't know what I should be thinking or what I should be feeling because I just want to walk again, you know what I mean? And people would order to come back stronger. I'm like, fuck, dude, the last thing I care about is squatting right now, man. I just want to be able to walk. I don't want to be able to and spend time with my wife and not be in pain. I want to be able to just do normal everyday things. I want to be able to go back to the gym and work and things like that, and not be like this. It was kind of hard to accept those messages from people because you're just kind of like, it just seems kind of generic and everyone's just saying the same shit, and you're like, man, like, hey, no one's asking what's going on, like, and really, or at least no one that I care to talk to or I care to value their opinion. Everyone's just kind of expects a certain thing. And I talked to my wife about it. She knew where my head's at, and she supports me no matter what. So, she said, whatever you want to do, I got your back. She goes, but I don't think that competing should be something that's a priority anytime soon. And I agree with that 100%. So, every other injury I've ever had, the whole point was to get me back on the platform ASAP and to get me back under heavyweight as soon as possible. And I'll be honest, where my head's at right now, what I'm dealing with right now, that's not a top priority. If that was a top priority, an injury like this would be very likely to happen again. And I don't think I'm prepared to deal with that again. It's brutal, it's rough. So I know that I'm not done with powerlifting. I know that I'm always going to be in this community. I'm always going to be doing something, whether it's coaching, whether it's still lifting, just maybe not at the highest level, or maybe or still competing. Yeah, like of course I'm still competing, and it's just like that's not the short-term goal. That's not the immediate goal. I don't care to go and get back under the bar, as soon as possible and re-aggravate this, or man, this is feeling great. Let's go squat and let's go squat something fucking heavy. And I already know that's the growing trend. That's what's happening in our sport, time and time again. Well, lots of guys in our sports have suffered from these type of injuries, and they deal with it their entire lives. For example, is a good friend of mine, Brandon Woolley. when he had a similar injury. His was much worse. Quad tendon snapped, kneecap, ACL, MCL, all this crazy shit. And then as soon as the one snapped, the other side snapped, and he he went under the bar. And his was a lot worse than mine, but mine had the potential to do that. And he tried to come back quick and just kept suffering injury after injury after injury. And I think Brandon's had, I know he's had over 10 surgeries, not with the intent to squat 1,000 pounds, within the next year. Like, I don't see that happening, to be honest. I don't see the real big crazy squat. I don't see that as a top priority anymore. I've kind of lived it. I've kind of done it. Everyone has a shelf life. Some people a little longer and shorter than others. Like I said, I've been big and weights heavy and hard since I was 12 years old. So my body isn't like a normal 30-year-old body. I've got a lot of injuries, and it's pretty beat up. So just with that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But again, that could change. 6 months from now, I'm not putting anything in stone. But that's just kind of where my head's at. Yeah, the main lesson out of all this that could be taught and could be learned through younger guys coming up and guys that are very strong right now that are near the top or at the top and dealing with similar stuff. You just gotta weigh risk versus reward. Like, how much risk are you willing to take, and what's the reward for it?